Today we continue with our class Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and we start with Sefer Chofetz Chaim. Today's topic, it's a new topic, laws of harmful speech. Today's title, embarrassing remarks. One who conveys information to others has no control over who will hear it and what in what settings it will be repeated. In what settings? Okay. Whatever one says concerning another person may very well be repeated in the presence of that person. So it is very interesting, right? So first of all, you don't know how, if somebody would repeat it and to whom, and sometimes. And I experienced a few times already when somebody's forwarded me messages, people personal information about other people, which is absolutely not proper. It was not for constructive purpose. You understand? So I was like, you serious? Or maybe my message. So of course I rebuked that person and said never do it again. And maybe they forwarded my personal messages. I don't know, that's not proper. So basically, you never know how they say. If you say say derogatory things about others, maybe they're going to forward to other people. Right? Today is very simple. Right? It is therefore copy and paste. Wherever you send somebody a text message and they copy and paste, then send to somebody else forward. It is therefore forbidden to say anything about a person that might embarrass him if it were to be repeated in his presence, even if the information is not derogatory. Okay, so even if it is not derogatory for that person, for you, you don't see it derogatory, but it would embarrass him or her for whatever reason. Some people very sensitive in some areas, so maybe it's not derogatory for the whole world, but for that person it's derogatory. So I have to take it into consideration. It is forbidden to relate that an individual is about teshuvah if the person is sensitive about this fact. This is true even in the company where Baal teshuvah is highly respected. So that's a big topic. So let's try to explain. So Baal teshuvah, who is Baal teshuvah? Somebody who returned to his roots. So a person was not religious, right? And then become religious, start observant, but in many circles, Baal teshuvah, it's like a Soviet, right? In second sort citizen, right? Tell you the way it is. So they call it BT, Baal teshuvah. So BT, it's like maybe yes, maybe no. You understand? And so even though it's the biggest compliment, I'll say on the place where Baal teshuvah stands. Right, the person who did the show is no tzaddik from birth could ever stand. Why? Because the tzaddik probably born in a righteous family. He never had this temptation, but this is about teshuvah, a person who was born and raised in a different environment, and he overcome or she overcome themselves and change and throw all of the sins out and decided to be close to HaShem, right? There was personal choice. So of course they deserve better regard than person who did not do anything, who was born into this, right? But even though in some circles it's they look down on Baal teshuvah, which is a big issue, of course. So it is forbidden to in such a circle to say that somebody is Baal teshuvah when somebody may take it wrong way. Okay, so let's start here. All right, so we continue. Very interesting topic. A lot of discussions that we had. So it's Siman 48, and the topic is Brochos upon the food made from 5 species of grain. Okay, we're on CF number 8. Looks like a lot of commentaries. Oh, wow, it's very long Siman, so we're going to do it in parts, of course. Any questions, you can stop me. Okay. So it says, the dough, even if it was kneaded with water only, But rather than baking in the oven, one cooked in water, one recite Baremi Mezonos before eating it, and Ala Michya after eating it. Even when he ate an amount of that fully satiates. Okay, period. Continue. Likewise, a dish of the cooked grits that was made from one of the 5 species of grain, then cooked in water. One recite Baremi Mezonos before eating it as well, and after eating it, Ala Michya. Even if he ate amount that would fully satiate. I mean, it's a little repetition, but okay, so let's do it again, and we see the commentaries, and we're going to explain. Though that was, even if it was kneaded with water only, right? So before that, we said if it was kneaded with eggs only, right, or with fruit juice or milk or all other things, that's a different story, right? Here we say clearly, like the way you do bread, you do with water. Okay, no problem. So even though it was with water, right, but it was not baked, it was cooked. So, right, we say Baremi Mezonos, right? So it's never bread, doesn't matter how much you eat, never bread. Okay, so all cooked, never bread. Okay, so commentary. This is contrast to the dough that was kneaded with other liquids. Okay, as we said, which even if baked in the oven does not attain the halacha of standard bread. So it is from the bread family, but it's not standard bread. So the example was this eggs, right? Some of it was kneaded without water completely, right? The dough, but with eggs only. It's possible. Right, or with milk, or with fruit juices, or with honey. Okay, but those are from the bread family at least. This is never. Okay, so Baremi Mezonos always, right? That doesn't matter if you prepare to eat 8 ounces, right? And Ala Michya after it. Even if the amount fully satiates, so that's amount fully satiates as we discussed last time, but it's a long commentary, so let's try to see. The dough that was baked after it was cooked in the water does attain halachic status of bread. So as we explained, I don't know in what class, it's actually that's how they make the bagels, right? They first cook and then bake. So we go according by the last step of the process, not initial steps. Right. Okay. Similarly, if after it was baked, it was cooked, it does not lose the status of bread depending on the size set out in the previous sieve. Okay. So it's very important. Last time, just to remind us, last time we said so many times when you cook bread, right? When you cook bread after it was baked, so it was 100% bread, and then you cook it. So it depends if it still looks like a bread, right? Or maybe not. Maybe it does not look like a bread, but it's a bigger pieces size of the kizayis. Okay. Okay. But if it's less than kizayis, does not look like a bread, so it's not. It's basically Mezonos. Okay. So one more time this sentence. Similarly, after it was baked and it was cooked. So it was 100% bread, and then we cooked it. It does not lose the status of bread, depending on the size, said in previous year. So, for example, you have soup. Let's say you have a meal without bread, and you have only soup, and you put pieces of bread in your bowl in your soup. So if it's very hot, if soup is very hot, it can cook bread for sure, right? Here, maybe it's not a good example. I apologize. Maybe it's not because it's third vessel, right? It's not a good example. Forget it. It's we're talking about pot. If somebody put a pieces of bread in a pot, okay, then it could cook. Here, the only process with which this dough was treated is cooking. Is therefore never attained the halacha of pas at all. Okay, that's it. So in our case, it's like it was never baked. It's cooked, whatever. Even though from the same dough you can do like pasta, I guess, and I'm not sure if it's a big difference, or cakes, right? And from the same dough you can do bread. So if you do cakes, you add sugar, you add honey, other things, but initial ingredients are the same. Okay, continue. According to many authorities, however, when regular dough was originally kneaded with intention of baking into bread, then it is considered bread, even if it is ultimately cooked, as long as it has appearance of bread. Mishnah Brura, paragraph 75, who writes that this opinion is followed in a case where one eats of this bread to satiety, and he must therefore recite Birchas Hamazon upon the meal of such bread. So let's try to understand what it says here. So that's let's see. So cooking, as we said before, cooking, it's not only in water. Cooking could be in oil, right? So deep fry, right? What we call deep fry. It's halachically it's cooking. So all of these donuts, actually, they in this category. Just so we know, it's not so simple. So one more time, according to many authorities, however, when regular dough was originally kneaded with intention of baking into bread. So okay, so one big batch of the dough, they decided to make bread. Then it is considered bread, even if it's ultimately was cooked. Maybe it's not in donuts. It's a little different, but very similar to it. Still, it's not so simple because it looks exactly like bread, right? They do all of the decoration and the decoration like put I don't know what are the things. Glaze on top only after it was taken out from the oil. It's all of the things after, so it is like bread. Even though you can put things on top of the bread as well. Okay. As long as the appearance of the bread. So it was. So one more time, this opinion, and it says many authorities say that it was if it was originally decided to make bread, then person changed mind and cooked it, and it still looks like bread. So two conditions, then it is bread. Mishnah Brura, who writes that this opinion is followed in a case where one eats bread to satiety, meaning that a person is going to eat a lot. And these things, like if they deep fry in oil, they're pretty heavy. So to get 8 ounces or some like amount that a person would get filled, it's not so much. So it's very, very possible to eat a lot. I mean, enough to say Birchas Hamazon. Okay, so a person has to recite Birchas Hamazon upon the meal of bread. Okay, continue. Furthermore, so that's somebody asked me recently if person can use a different version of Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and I say you can, but in this version, ArtScroll, they have like amazing commentary. So we're reading from commentary right now, right? It's updated up to date what we do today, right? Kitzur plus here is from Mishnah Brura, who came after that, and from Moshe Feinstein's itself. So it's more recent. Okay. Furthermore, even when dough made with intention that it will be cooked, not baked, God-fearing individual should be concerned for the opinions and that hold that such a dough is to be considered regular bread, as long as the pieces of bread at least kizayis and have a general appearance of bread. So here, in other words, he said, don't eat donuts just by themselves. If you God-fearing person, if not, you can do whatever you want. You understand? Because there is strong opinion that it is a bread. Was it intended to be baked as a bread or cooked, like baked as a bread, and then they cooked differently or not? So there is a strong opinion said that don't do it. Okay, especially if you're going to eat like 2 or 3 of them, for sure. He should therefore eat such a products only after reciting hamotzi on regular bread, with intention that hamotzi blessing exempt this item from bracha rishona. Okay, so they say for obligation, see Mishnah Brura, Shulchan Aruch 168.13. Okay, so basically what it says in Mishnah Brura 76-78. So what does it say? So all of these things that were deep fried, but they look like bread. So we say better eat only in a bread meal. Okay. You don't eat them by themselves. No problem. Continue. Likewise, a dish, okay, continue. Sorry, continue. Likewise, a dish of the cooked grits that was made from the 5 species of grain and then cooked in the water. One recite barem in the Mezonos before eating it, as well, and after eating it ala michia. So let's see Mishnah Brura, which say that depending on the type of preparation, the proper blessing of cooked grits may be hadama. Okay, I'm not sure what preparation you need to make it to call the hadama. So hadama usually something like a not normal way of eating, as just in general comment. So if somebody eats bread or like products from made from flour, we would say Mezonos, let's say, or Bircas hamotzi, if it's bread, right? But if somebody wants just to eat the cereal itself, like the kernels themselves, they would say bare pri hadama, right? Parched grains, whatever they call it. They sell it, I think, in health food stores. Okay, continue. Kitzur now sets out the bracha, which bracha is appropriate for the mixture of grain foods and other foods. Mixture of grain foods and other foods. So meaning you have, let's say, in some dishes you have, they add like flour. Let's say for soups, like for example, to thicken the soup, they put flour. Okay. Or they put flour in like in many dishes. So let's see. So let me read one more time, and there is commentary. Kitzur now sets out that the bracha is appropriate for a mixture of grain foods with others. Okay, so grains with others. This Sefer discusses the mixture of grain foods and liquids. Okay. Sefer number 10. So we're going to get to it. Discusses the mixture of grain foods and salads. Okay, so let's see commentary. When 2 foods are eaten together, a blessing is decided only primary food, Ikar, and the subordinated food, Tofel, does not require the blessing. This Halachos are discussed in the lens below, Siman 54. Oh, we're going to get to it. Okay. When it comes to the mixture of foods, it must be determined which component in the mixture is a primary one and which is a subordinate. Okay, so one second, let me see how long. Okay, so let's stop here. So let's try to understand. So when we have one dish, right? So when we have one dish, we make only one blessing on it. So meaning what? If you can take it with spoonful, like meaning with one spoon, you can get all of the components if you want to, right? So that's considered a mixed one dish, and it would require one blessing. But if you have, for example, you have a plate, right, and you have a baked potato, right, and you have a piece of chicken, so they're not mixed. So in this case, you would need to say 2 separate blessings, 2 separate dishes. But if you have what do you have? You have a soup, for example, right, or you have a salad. And let's say you have a salad with chicken, right? Pieces of chicken. You have a vegetable chicken. You have dressing. You have, I don't know, whatever you have. What else? And you have seeds. Let's say seeds. And on this mixture, you would need to say only one blessing. So here is is the discussion is what is Ikar. Ikar is a primary, so meaning you said only one blessing and all other foods are subordinate. So it is a Tofel. We need to figure out what is primary, what is secondary. So one of the things that we must know, right? That if it has, if this one of the components is from 5 species of grain, so it takes precedence. So meaning if you have a salad and you have these croutons, right, from like baked croutons, like cooked in oil. Let's make it simpler, right? So you say baremi Mezonos and it covers the whole salad. Even these croutons is 10% maybe of the salad, 15% tops. So that's the primary because of the 5 species of grain that they're very important. Not because of the quantity, but quality. And in other cases, we go what is the primary, what is the Ikar by quality. Like for example, if you have their vegetables and you have their fruits, right? For example, you have avocado in your salad, right? So you go by majority. So if you have more vegetables, you would say on vegetables, and it would cover the fruits as well. If you have mostly fruits and vegetables is only minority, well, what could it be? Like you have a salad, you have fruit salad, right? You have grapes. Grapes. It's okay. Apples, pears, like all other things, and you have strawberry. So since let's say this fruits are majority, so you're saying one fruits, and it's going to cover vegetables as well. That's primary and subordinate in nutshell, of course. Continue. This halacha discussed below in Siman 54. So I mean we're going to get it, but in a few months, I guess. When it comes to the mixture of foods, it must be determined which components of the mixture is a primary and which one is subordinate. Okay, so they say see below 55.5.6. Okay, we're not going to jump there. Okay, I gave you like an overview. Here Kitzur sets out the halachos as it pertains to the mixture commonly eaten with the grain foods. Okay, so as you said, the grain foods from 5 species of grain, it's exception. So they take precedence even if it's minority, but up to some extent. So if it's only like it was added for like a binding agent, so it's not the primary for sure. And if you cannot taste, if they do not change the taste, of course you don't say the blessing. But otherwise you say baremi Mezonos. As we will see in these halachas, grain foods are often exception to some of the standard rules. Okay, as we said, so rules of blessing and a primary and subordinate foods. So then primary and subordinate, we're going to go what is the primary, what is subordinate, like I guess the easy example to give the easiest would be French fries, and you have ketchup. So ketchup is always subordinate. Even on the ketchup, so for example, if somebody wants to eat ketchup straight, let's say with a spoon or from the bottle, right? So you would say shechakol on this ketchup if you want to eat separately, right? But since you eating it subordinate to the French fries, so you don't say any blessings. Okay. Continue. If one eats food, okay, let's stop here. Any questions on what we said so far? Because we're going to now start to building up on what we said.
I have a question, Rabbi.
Please go ahead.
So what if something is baked, like pasta, baked pasta? Can that ever be considered bread?
Baked pasta, so
like lasagna, something like
that. So it was cooked first, and then it was
baked ziti. You know baked ziti?
Yeah. So it's baked ziti. It's actually good question. Let me think about it, because the way I understand, this big ziti or lasagna is done without oil. So does it make it bread? Let's put it aside. It's a good question. Let's put it aside. Okay. Any other questions before we continue? Okay, so continue. If one eats these foods together with broth, okay, so broth meaning this one of the 5 species. Okay, broth, as well the foods made from dough that one eats together with broth or with milk in which they were cooked. There is no need to recite blessing on the broth or the milk, but only on the grain foods, on a grain product that he is eating with them. For the liquids are considered subordinate and insignificant in regard to the Mezonos foods. Okay, so let's read again. We're going to get to this commentary a little later. So one more time. So we're talking about, remember, we're talking about these Mezonos foods. So it says, if one eats these foods together with broth. So with broth meaning like you have a soup. Let's say you have what is it? Some like vegetables in a soup, and you have some what is it? Like macaroni, like a little, like even I don't know, like 5%, 10%, let's say, right? So if you say baremene mizones on this macaroni, and it's going to cover the whole the whole soup. Water, this broth is subordinate, and the vegetables are also subordinate. Okay. So one more time. One eats okay. We gave like a more complex example, but they say only like this cooked Mezonos and some liquid. So one more time. If one eats these foods together with broth, as well the foods made from dough that one eats together with broth, okay, or with milk, so that doesn't matter, milk, okay, in which they are cooked. So now we're talking they were cooked together. They cooked together, meaning it's one dish. Okay. There is no need to recite the blessing on broth or milk, but only on the grain products that were eaten with them. So you say baremene mizonos, and it covers all of the other components. But okay, so let's finish, and I'm going to give example. For the liquids are considered subordinate and insignificant in relation to the Mezonos foods. So we're going to see the examples right now, but I think that the practical example would be, even though they were not cooked together, but eaten together, so you eat in morning cereal. Whatever your favorite morning cereal, let's say it is made from one of these 5 species of grain. So you say blessing only on the cereal. The milk is covered. Milk in this case is subordinate. I think it's a good example. But one advice, even though it says on some corn flakes or these flakes, that flakes, so even though it says corn or rice flakes, so check on a packaging. Sometimes it contains wheat, so mostly it's wheat, but a little corn, so the taste of a little corn, but it's wheat. In this case, we say Mezonos. If it's from corn, for sure it's corn. For example, we got these corn flakes. I don't know what it's called, corn flakes. So, and if you look on the back, it says corn flakes only, and some other things, but there is no wheat whatsoever. So on this cereal, you say shechakol, and milk is covered, or some people eat with fruit juice or whatever you use. That doesn't matter. So milk is covered. Okay. So even though, it's a different from what we said here. Even though they were not cooked together, you eat it as cold, but you combine into one dish. Okay, continue. Continue with the commentary. One who is chicken soup with a matzah bowl, right, or dumplings, okay, need to recite only the Mezonos. If in every spoonful is it eaten contains some of the matzah ball. Okay, so let's finish reading. Don't jump to any conclusion, and we're going to see. With regard to the common case, so you see, matzah ball is different. So why is it different? So matzah ball is a ball, right, in a soup, but it is never mixed. It's never mixed with the soup because it's too big, right? So the example is that we said, it's like this pasta, like elbows or something. So they're so small. You're not obligated to have them with every spoon. But matzah ball is different. Okay, so we have to keep in mind this example. This exception, same as a piece of chicken. You have a chicken leg in your soup. It's never mixed with the soup. Two separate things, right? So if you have vegetables in your soup, so you say blessing on the vegetables, and it covers the liquids as well, the broth, right? And you say the separate blessing on a chicken. They're never mixed. Okay. Continue. With regard to common case of eating cereal with milk, okay, as long as a regular amount of milk added to the cereal, and the milk is added to contribute to the taste or to help swallow the cereal, one is to recite only the blessing upon the cereal. So very interesting. I just wanna they add a little more twist to what I said. So I said you add the milk, you eat the cereal, but they say only like if you add like regular amount of milk that you need for cereal. Meaning what? That if you did add like a little extra milk, because you want to drink milk after you finish cereal, then you would need to say the blessing on milk, because it was not for cereal only. You enjoy milk by itself. If you finish this, if you put the regular amount of milk, maybe a little extra, nobody's asking you to count, right? And then you finish your cereal and there is some milk left, there is no problem. It is covered. It's nothing. But here we say when somebody like put intentionally a little extra. That's the case. Very interesting. You see, when we read, we have to see and every sentence and every word what it says. These great rabbis, whoever put up these commentaries, they're very, very sharp. Okay, continue. This is the halacha even if one is thirsty and enjoys the milk as well, right? So nobody said that you're obligated only to enjoy cereal and milk is only for ease of swallowing. Nobody said that. You enjoy the milk, there is no problem, right? But normal amount. However, if more milk than common is added to the cereal, the milk is considered a separate drink, right? As we said. I mean, logically, that's what it is. There is a drinking together with cereal. Okay. In this case, regardless whether he was thirsty at the time, he must recite shechakol, blessing on the milk. Okay. Sugar is also considered subordinate to the cereal. Sugar, okay. I'm not sure where sugar came from. I don't know. And does not require separate blessing when added. Okay. So looks like based on this, so this cereal was without sugar, right? And somebody wants to add sugar, so sugar is always subordinate. It's not people usually don't eat sugar straight, but if you do, so you have to say the blessing. Okay. In the contrast, fruit or banana sliced into cereal is not subordinate to the cereal and requires its own blessing. Okay, see Igras Moshe, paragraph 83. Okay. Volume 4, 83. Okay. All right. So we can continue. Any questions on what we said so far? About cereals. So we covered cereals and we covered soups. Okay, continue. If no question, we continue. So it's same. It's a very long CF. Continue with the same CF. However, if one cooked a liquid with only a small amount of dumplings or grit, if one cook a liquid, right, and his primary interest in this dish is only broth or milk, In this case, the liquid is not considered to be insignificant, and one must therefore recite upon them there is liquids, the proper blessing of shechako. And even though he's eating the dumplings and the grits as well, still the liquid and the milk are not considered insignificant, since they are his primary interest as a dish. Nevertheless, there remains some level of doubt regarding this. Therefore, in order to act regarding these brachas in ideal fashion, it is appropriate to first recite shechakol blessing upon the broth or the milk by itself, and to drink a bit of the liquid, and afterwards to recite the Boremine Mezonos blessing upon the dumplings or the grits. Okay, so they say Sima Chashek. So let's stop here. We're going back and we try to read again and explain every line. One more time. However, if one cooked the liquid with only small amounts of dumplings and grits. So here, his primary goal is to get this liquid to be saturated with the taste. I would say, right, and infused maybe. And his primary interest in the dish is only the broth or milk. So of course he cooks other things like in this liquid, but the liquid is his primary thing. So I guess the example would be like people may make soup, right, on with the meat. So they put a meat bone or something or a piece of meat. So but their primary goal is to get the soup, and then they would add vegetables, other things. Okay, so I guess that's the same idea. So you have a little piece of meat for the taste, but your primary intent is actually for the soup. Okay, so here as well, even though they cook these Mezonos things, but the main point is this liquid. Okay, so in this liquid is not considered insignificant, right? So I mean in a double negation, so it's actually considered something important. One must therefore recite upon them, these liquids, the proper blessing of shechako. So if it is important, so meaning it's not mixed, it's like two separate dishes, so he must say two separate blessings. Commentary. Okay, no problem. Continue. And even though he's eating the dumplings and the grits as well, still the liquid and the milk are not considered insignificant. So as in a case of that we look at before of the morning syrup, for sure this milk is a secondary, but here it's the primary food here is actually the liquid. So but actually with the milk as well, we said if he adds extra milk because he enjoys the milk like separate, so he would need to say the blessing on the milk, right? It's exactly the same case. I mean the same case, the same approach, same logic. Since they're not primary, since they are primary interest in the dish, right? Meaning what the liquids. So you have to say separate blessing. Commentary. However, they do not make the grain foods subordinate to them either, as we explained at the end of the sieve. Therefore, the blessing is required on both the salads and the liquids. As we said in the beginning, so even though they said we're going to discuss later, but we said it in the beginning, the grain foods from five species of grain, they're actually always primary unless they're, we said, added in insignificant amount and for insignificant purpose, right? I mean, as a binding engine, as we said. But if there is other food that is very important, so we say two blessings, but there is no contradiction. So on Mezonos, we always say, because of importance. Chashuv. Continue. Nevertheless, there remains some level of doubt regarding this. Okay, so commentary. There is an opinion that the grain foods are considered so important that they render even the majority of liquids in which it was cooked subordinate to it, and would therefore exempt the broth with the blessing of Mezonos. So, in this case, we actually this exception. They say in commentary, but we discussed before, right? So, if we have soup and some Mezonos in it, even though it's minority, we said even 10%, right? So we actually go by that opinion, and we say Baremine Mezonos on the whole soup, and the whole soup is covered, right? But here he's saying it's like a second opinion. So one more time. Nevertheless, there remains some level of doubt regarding this. Therefore, in order to act regarding the Brochos in ideal fashion, so regarding Brochos in ideal fashion, so as we always say, so we're trying many times to go by like middle of the road, if it's possible. If you can satisfy both opinions, that's what you should do. If not, so you can go by one opinion. There is no problem, but you have to stick to that opinion always. Okay. So it says it is appropriate first to recite the shechakol blessing upon the broth or the milk itself, right? So just in case, or I would say, you can recite something else, not part of the dish. I think that's another solution. So say it on the tea, right? On the tea, and like keep in mind that you want to also cover the broth, and then say on the Mezonos, right? And drink a bit of the liquid. So like any amount of liquid is good. And afterwards recite Baremine Mezonos blessing upon the dumplings or grits. Okay. See Machatzitz HaShekel. Okay, so let's see what he says. 58. Machatzitz HaShekel. They explain that ordinarily, right, when eating two foods, neither of which is subordinate to the other, it is if the blessing for one is Mezonos and a blessing for the other Shechakol, the Mezonos should be recited first. Okay, so meaning that they're not mixed. The example would be you have a pasta, right, and you have chicken, right? So like two separate, like even though in your plate it's like in both of them in your plate, but those are two separate dishes, and you say first on pasta, second Baremine Mezonos, and then you say on chicken. Okay, that's what he said. In this case, however, there are some doubts as whether the broth is subordinate to the grain foods or not. So in this case, under normal circumstances, we say only one blessing on Mezonos, and it would cover all of the other foods. But since this case is doubtful, so maybe if I'm going to say Baremine Mezonos, it's going to cover liquid as well, right? So they go out of their way and say, make the blessing on liquid. Thus, if one would recite Mezonos first, there is a possibility that would exempt the broth from any requirement of its own blessings. Okay, that's exactly as we explained. I mean, it's logically that's what it is. Therefore, in a case, in case where we reverse the order, meaning first we say in Shechakol, right? Shechakol is recited first on broth. This leaves the grain foods with a definite requirement of the blessing. So this Shechakol does not cover the Mezonos. After the fact, if somebody did by mistake, and he was eating this what is it, oatmeal, right, and say Shechakol here, but the verse after the fact, okay, he can continue it. No new blessing is required, right? But initially we say separate blessing. Okay, so one second. So one more time. Shechakol blessing is recited first on the broth. This leaves the grain foods with the definite requirements of the blessing, as we explained, because it's of its importance. Since grain foods never lose their own requirement. Okay, as Kitzur explains. So meaning maybe on grain foods we always say blessing, and maybe in this case on another foods as well, right? Maybe. Continue. Igres Moshe and Ora Chaim 1 paragraph 69 rules that preferably one should first recite Mezonos on dumplings and then recite shechakol on another food, as we said. So I said okay, with intention to also exempt the broth from shechakol obligation. Whatever other shechakol you have, you can say the blessing. Okay. If there is no shechakol food available, he should nevertheless recite Mezonos on a dumpling and then shechakol on a soup. Okay, so Reb Moshe Zatzal said not like Kitzur, and in some sense, like for me, it is straightforward way, and I would follow what Rab Moshe said. Not because I'm choosing between the two, but it's always easier to follow one approach than remember all of these exceptions, because this Mezonos blessing should always precede the shechakol blessing. Okay, so as we said, for example, if you have let's say you have a plate, right, and you have pasta and you have salad and you have a piece of chicken, so first you say on a pasta beremine Mezonos, then on a salad brechadama, and then you say on chicken. Three different blessings, right? So Reb Moshe Zatzal said, okay, since you always say beremine Mezonos, so do here as well. But since we said this liquid was not covered because that's was our original design, because we wanted this specific liquid, no problem. Say it after that, shechakol. Okay. Continue. Okay, so we're almost done, and then we see if we have any questions. Both blessings, so both meaning what? Mezonos on this cooked, on this cooked dough, and shechakol on the broth. Okay, both these blessings are necessary. Here, since the grain foods are also not subordinate to the broth, so as we said, they always important, always. Despite the fact that they're not the primary interest of the one eating broth. So in many times when somebody is like prefer one foods over the other, so he say the blessing on the preferred foods and the secondary is covered. But here, even though you prefer broth, that never covers the Mezonos. The reason for this is the grain, by its nature, inherently significant. Hashuv, right? Who Hashuv? Continue. And does not become subordinate to another food, to the point that it loses its own obligation, Mezonos blessing. So as we said, I mean, he does not say, but there is a exception. As long as served to add flavor to the dish. So if you can taste the flavor, for sure it's not insignificant. Commentary, or to make dish more satisfying. Okay. So any questions on what we said? I mean, it was a lot of material, but that's Kitzur. That's what we call Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. It's very condensed. Any questions, or we continue? Okay, no problem. Continue. Yeah, go ahead.
I have one about this. Can it be a way around to prevent making all of these blessings, to make every food we eat during the day a full meal, opening this meal with netilat yadayim and just eating a piece of bread, to prevent saying all these blessings? I
mean, if you want to do that, of course that's would resolve all the issues, but not always you want to eat bread. Not always you're so hungry, or maybe you don't have bread today. So
yeah, that was asking myself, what if I am filled with bread of a previous meal? How much is the quantity of bread needed to make this way around?
One kizais, it's like 1 ounce, 28 grams. So if you want to eat, that's should be good. I mean, it's I would say, since it's a lenient opinion. Even though we can go by this opinion, and say that kizais is going to cover all other foods, but we try to go by more stricter opinion, and I think Rabbi Paskin is halacha as well for Sephardic people. So we actually try to go by kibeitza. What is kibeitza? It's a double kizais, meaning 2 ounces, like what is it, 56 grams. You understand? That's would be according to all of the opinions. So the thing is, even if you eat kizais, like 1 ounce, you would have to say Bircas Hamazon. You would wash your hands with a blessing. There is no problem. But according to some opinions, this amount is not going to cover all other foods, according to some opinions. So if you can eat by itself, there is no problem. But if you want to cover all other foods, so at least eat this kibeitza. Okay, so that's a more stricter opinion, and more lenient opinion. If somebody can rely, there is no problem. It's actually 1 ounce, not 2 ounces, but 1 ounce. But on Pesach, that is coming. On Pesach, we don't play with the fire, right? What does it mean? So we go by stricter opinion. We eat kibeitza of the matzah, which is a lot. So the advice for Pesach, like, don't cook a lot. Like all other days, eat whatever you want. But for Seder night, don't cook a lot, because you would need to eat a lot of matzah and a lot of mortar, right? Also, we go by kibeitza. Okay. Any other questions? Or we continue? Okay, so let's do one more sif, and we go to questions if you have any. So sif number 9. The foods that are made from matzah meal or from the breadcrumbs, for example, dumpling or the matzah meal pancake, that are prepared by mixing the crumbs or the small pieces with fat, eggs, or oil, kneaded them, and then cooking or frying them. One is to recite Barem and Mezonos before eating them, and Alach Mechia after eating them. So let's read the commentary. And it says, this is so even if the resulting pieces are larger than kizais. And even if he ate many of them, if, however, the matzah meal of the breadcrumbs were kneaded with water and baked, they would be considered regular bread and would require hamotzi. See Mishnah Brura. So let's try to understand what we're talking about. So it was from the beginning, and we're going to explain. Foods that are made from matzah meal. So what is matzah meal? You take a matzah, regular matzah, and you grind it, and you get a matzah meal. Or you buy ready matzah meal in the store and pay 7 times more, whatever you want, right? Or the breadcrumbs, right? So all of the breadcrumbs left over. For example, the dumplings. So they make dumplings from this, okay. Or matzah meal pancake. Whatever you do from matzah meal, right? With fat, egg or milk, kneaded with them. So here it's a classic example of Mezonos, right? There is no water, okay. And then cook them or frying them. So, and frying is like deep fry, I assume, right? One, and then to recite Barem and Mezonos, because they cooked, and because even though like maybe looks like bread, but not bread, because they mix were kneaded with fat or milk or something. So eating them, and ala michya after eating them. So that's straightforward. So I would say even you would do the same if you have regular flour, okay. But here is how this case is different. We say it was bread. Initially, it was bread, so matzah is a bread, and then they reconstructed the bread and did the next a new dish. Okay, that's the new approach. Okay, so one more time this commentary, and we stop. So I said this is even. This is so even if the resulting pieces are larger than kizais, right? So, but it was not bread; it was cooked, right? And even if he ate many of them, So it was not bread initially, since it was mixed with all other things, or like milk and eggs, no, not water. If, however, the matzah meal or bread crumbs were kneaded with water and baked, they are considered regular bread. Okay, and they would require hamotzi. Okay, so unless you put in this cake you put a lot of sugar, so it's not going to be bread, right? So that's what we do. You can buy all of these things in a store for Pesach, but the problem is with these things, they're available for sale 1 month before Pesach, and it's if you buy like 3 months after Pesach, it's still nice and fresh. Why? Because they put a lot of preservatives on there, so it's not healthy to buy these things for Pesach. So it's not a big deal if you try it once. If you grind the matzah, make flour, and you can bake whatever you want. Just get Pesach recipes, and that's it. You can bake. Okay, of course you have to kosher your oven, but that's a different story. Okay, we stop here. Any questions on any topic? Go ahead.
I had one from yesterday that was not time to.
Okay, go ahead.
It was about the sons of the Bnei Anusim. So there is recent research that they is pointing out that they are descendants of the Northern Kingdom. So they fled to Spain before being taken into captivity of Babylon. So in that case, can we skip parts of the prayers like Abdallah that recounts an event of Babylon? And there is another part in Birkat Amazon, this psalm that it also seems to be about Babylon. Can those be skipped?
Okay, I mean, it's not like strictly requirements to save those pieces. So he's talking about pieces just so everybody on the same page. Before we say Birchas Hamazon, there is a custom. Is it obligation? No, it's not obligation, but custom. I mean, I always do it. So there is one paragraph for one Tehillim. One part when we say on a weekday only, and another one day we say on holidays, on Shabbos, and even on Chol Hamoed we also said that on all of the holiday days. Do we say it on Rosh Chodesh? I think so. Don't remember, but I think so. So the question if we can skip it. For example, if a person wants to eat 3 times a day bread, so okay, you can skip it. There is no problem. It's not part of the obligation. Okay.
Okay, because I was thinking about the other day that there is a part of the forefathers also in Birkat Amazon, and a convert would ask if he must to recite that because
It's no must. Okay, so all of the converts. So the question is, if a person is a convert, is he allowed to say my forefather Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, right? And the answer is absolutely, as our dear Rabbi Reuven Shlita explained once, and maybe more than once, when Abraham and Sarah were together for many years, as we know, like for 99 years. I'm sure how long they were married, 99, I don't know, 60 years, 70 years, or whatever by the time. So they were together intimately, but they did not produce any children. So the question is where the seeds go, right? We said that with every Siman, right? There is a neshama. So they say that all of the neshama went into the future converts for all of the generations. So when we say that a convert is a Ben Abraham, so we mean literally. So he's a son of Abraham, and some say that you have to say Ben Abraham Avinu, not Abraham like his father Abraham, right? But Abraham Avinu. Some say you can say only Abraham, and the mother is Sarah. So when somebody converts, let's say his name is I don't know, Yitzchak, right? So we say Yitzchak ben Sarah. So Sarah is his mother, literally. So and all of the other patriarchs came from Abraham. So of course There's no problem for converts to say that our patriarchs Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. Literally, that's 100% true. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, let me answer the question yesterday about what is warming on the foot of the foot in that synagogue. So I mean, sounds a little scary or very scary. So we have to investigate how exactly they warm the food. A question came to me today. You don't know what I'm talking about, right? So I mean the place. So I can speak just hypothetical example for you, but for me it's real example. I was shocked. A person is working in yeshiva, right, in one of the countries, and he asked me. He said, "How is it possible?" He said, "Are they allowed to eat?" So he's like one of the helpers, right? Whatever it is, one of the helpers, and he said that there is a new cook, and he used a blender to make the sauce on Shabbos. Are they allowed to eat? I said, "You normal?" I said, "What?" Before I said you normal, I said, "What kind of sauce?" And he said, "And the normal sauce, you take ketchup, you take mayo, and you mix it." I mean, I was shocked because even under the normal circumstances, like on Shabbos, you would not be allowed to mix the mayo, right? In any event, forget about ketchup, all this. It's not allowed. So needless to say, in a blender, and then he said, "Then are you allowed to cook on Shabbos?" I said, "What do you mean cook?" So he said that they took raw fish. I'm not sure this guy is dreaming. I'm not sure. We're talking about issue. And he said they put it in the oven on Shabbos and they cook and eat on Seudah Shlishis. I'm not sure he's right. I'm not sure. But technically, people who do not know, and it's in yeshiva. Maybe if this cook is not supervised, there is this mashgiach only came in the morning and then he left, went home. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. So of course it's not allowed to cook. So same with that place that we discussed yesterday. Of course there is a big mitzvah to eat warm food on Shabbos, but only you allowed to warm up the food only in a permissible way. One straightforward way. If you left it overnight on a fire or in a slow cooker or something, there is no problem whatsoever. In other cases, you can some foods you can warm up, right? Even on Shabbos, but there's some restrictions. It must be completely cooked. According to Ashkenazic tradition, it must be only dry foods, completely. There should not be any liquids in there, and it should be on a blech, right? On a platter before Shabbos. Otherwise, you're not allowed to put it first time on Shabbos. I mean, before the candlelighting, this should be on a blech or on a hot plate, whatever you use, your own business, and it must be covered with something. If it's capable of cooking, if it's a stove, it must be covered with a blech. If it's on a hot plate, not really required. But if you have a adjustable hot plate, so you should cover it with something, unless it's so weak it can never be able to cook. So there are many details. But if a non-Jew did all these things without supervision, for sure it's not allowed. Whatever a Jew is not allowed to do, he's not allowed to ask non-Jew to do. And wherever a non-Jew did it on his own accord, nobody asked him, but he tried to be nice. So you're not allowed to cook until the end of the Shabbos. So, okay, until the times to take after the Shabbos to cook this dish from the beginning. Okay, so it's not such an easy case. As I explained with this Shiva, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the guy who told me this understand what he's talking about, but if it's true, it's very sad. Okay, what else? Any other questions? Any topic?
Rabbi, I have a question. So if somebody go to shul and in the summertime, if there's no ACs on,
by mistake they didn't turn it on for Shabbos, is a non-Jew that's there allowed to turn it on if they ask the person?
Yes, yeah. So in this case, so what you're saying, what I said, it's a general rule. What you're asking is exception. Yeah. So exception for the need of the public, it would be allowed. Yes. Or somebody, like for example, if somebody is sick in your house, like, or little baby, like you have elderly mother, this, like all of these things, right? So and it's very hot, it's humid, so you cannot breathe, so you can go and ask a non-Jew, preferably indirectly, right? So okay, it's it's too hot in my house. So they say, boy, I see it's not working. Unfortunately, my baby like press the buttons. So okay, so it's like what's going on? So if somebody can turn, like we have this problem, we have a Shabbos, so I cannot turn it on. So the Jews say, like non-Jew would say, so what do you want me to do? Should I turn it for you? I cannot tell you to turn, but I mean, it's very hot. So so you never agree with him like what to do, and if the non-Jew is smart, he would do like press the button for you. You understand? That's a separate subject, but whatever we're not allowed to do, like in this one of the exception when it's need of public, and like in olden days that they would start a stove, right, and an oven. I was like they would keep use oven for cooking and for heating of the house, right? The wooden stove, like in the middle of the house, right? And the heat would go to all of the rooms. Okay, so of course you like if it's all of the European countries, it's very cold, so of course they would ask, and the non-Jew would do it. Yeah.
So another question is that if that somebody is someone that is like one of us or like interested in learning, become a Jew one day or something, then are we still allowed to do such a thing?
No. So you cannot be in two places at the same time. So as soon as a person converts, he became or she became 100% Jew, and that's it. All of the laws of the Jew is applied. So one second. So that's why we're trying to make sure that person 100% ready for that step. You understand? So it's like you're on, right? Like I don't know if it's a good example, that like when before the jumping from the plane with a parachute, you have to know all of the things what to do with that. So you cannot say, I saw the movie, so I think I can do it. No, they jump you. That's it. You're on your own. You have to do it. Like otherwise, like every second, like it's avera. It's death from the hands of the heaven. Let's say today we don't have the death from the court, but from the heaven. Every time you desecrate Shabbos. Okay, so at least a person must know all of the basic details. Right? Not basic details, but all the basic concept, right? And the details as much as possible. And from other things, just stay away, and then continue learning. So nobody is expecting you to be like an expert, but be knowledgeable for sure. Not to do big sins for sure, absolutely for sure. Okay.
So if somebody asks what me to do, for example, then I can decline and say.
Okay, so if I can ask you. I mean, first of all, you can always say I'm in a process, so I prefer not to do it. Okay, I think it's a fair fair answer. Okay, so I'm trying not to do.
Okay, thank you.
So if the only person this synagogue, let's say in the middle of nowhere, and there are no people on the street, there is desert, they cannot ask somebody else. So okay, yeah, that person can do it. But otherwise, the thing is that the people in a shul, so knowingly, intention and non-intention, knowingly, unknowingly, they would look down at that person. You understand? So it would be on the subconscious, and we try not to put ourselves in that situation. So me personally, we never ever ask anybody, even though sometimes it was one time or two times that we forgot. No, it not that we forgot. Like we didn't change the tape on the door, and the light for a refrigerator was like on, so we could not close the refrigerator door. Okay, so we cover with a blanket, this and that, and that's how we lived the whole Shabbos. But we did not anybody to cover. A few times the air conditioner went off. Okay, so we did without everybody sweat. Okay, of course it was possible to ask somebody, and we have neighbors, Jews, not Jews, very nice people, but we never asked. I mean, if HaShem decided to do it for us, so that's kapara banot. So I mean, it's good for us. You understand? So it was exactly as I said. My okay, I don't want to say who from my family was taking a bottle of juice and it dropped, and exactly on a switch, exactly. So it turned off Friday night. Guess what? In the summer, I think in July or something. We survived. Baruch HaShem. Okay. Any other questions? Any topic? Okay, no questions, so we can stop here. So tomorrow we're going to continue this question.
One last for me.
Okay,
It was
go ahead.
about using a cleaning agent for glasses on Shabbos. Is it allowed or forbidden?
Like what? Clean agent.
They have smoothing properties.
I'm not sure, but we usually clean glasses for the drinking glasses. You mean?
No, clean.
Glasses like eyeglasses.
Yeah.
Cleaning agent. It's a good thing. It's a good question. I don't think that there is an issue whatsoever, because all of this washing, as we discussed yesterday, right? All of the washing apply only to the pliable materials, right? So that's it. It does not apply to the hardwood or the tiles or glass. It does not. The problem is if squeezing. If you put too much and you put a tape, paper, towel, or piece of cloth, so do not squeeze that. But that's the only issue. But otherwise, there is no problem.
I was thinking about this because it is the eyeglasses are made from like acrylic or some plastic.
Mm-hmm.
This cleaning agent are meant for smoothing the.
No,
the
it's not. It's not. It's like smoothing. Meaning it should melt it. It's not. That's not going to melt. No. There is no problem. There is no problem.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Any other questions before we stop? Okay, no problem. So tomorrow we're going to continue with Shmana Prakim. All right. Thank you very much and good night. Thank you.